Namaste. Welcome to the Quantum Spirituality Podcast. I am your host, Self Heal with Liz, coherence body talk practitioner and expert observer. I am a mirror reflecting self-sovereignty and playful presence to guide you in intentionally tuning into your own authentic vibrational signature and regulated nervous system. This is a living, breathing invitation to become an active participant in observing your own life with curiosity instead of judgment. So join me as we recalibrate our electromagnetic fields into heart-brain coherence in feeling safe to navigate our thoughts and emotions with confidence. May you always remember that you are divinely taken care of and have the ability to handle anything that comes your way. My Self Heal with Liz Hero's Journey. In the last decade, since 2010, exploring deep loss and grief within myself has helped me remember that I am God consciousness, having a human experience, expressing infinite potential of possibilities. Because I've been living so far outside my comfort zone for so long, I feel like an outlier who is here to remind you that it is safe to embrace the pain of change with grace and ease. You can give yourself permission to explore the unknown with confidence and be your own doctor by choosing to develop a relationship and silence the external noise to genuinely listen to your own human earth vessel body-mind with curiosity. Deep inner peace is possible. I found it even when I was living alongside fellow householders living in Los Angeles, where I was born and raised since childhood. My journey to deep inner peace started in 2010, at age 24, when the love of my life, Michael, transitioned in death after a camping accident. Previously, even though my grandparents and other dear friends had died before Michael, his death tore right through me, turning my whole world upside down, like the Inception movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. After Michael's death, something shifted so deeply within my consciousness that I questioned everything I ever knew about life and death, because I could still feel his unseen presence so strongly. He visited me in my dreams every night for 3 months. It gave me peace and offered a gentleness in accepting that I could no longer touch his physical body. Even though I couldn't touch him physically anymore, I could still touch him energetically, emotionally, and mentally. So I continued to talk to him, and I could hear his response when I sat in the quiet stillness of an early morning, or he would write through me in a journal free write. I could feel him so strongly in my waking life as well, especially when I visited the places I had memories with him. And then there was Logan. And there was Logan, my sweet boy Logan. Michael left him behind as an anchor for me to stay grounded in navigating my grief. Logan's presence in my life after Michael died gave me purpose to not kill myself, This was my near-death experience. I definitely considered suicide. Logan, my anchor, my one constant amongst all of the change, and even more loss as I stayed the course to keep living my life without Michael. I look back on the last 14 years of my life, and I see Logan and I sitting in the quiet stillness, meditating, resting, slowing down, while the world around us continues to move so fast. Thank you, Michael, for your continued unseen presence in my life even now. I learned Vedic meditation in 2015 with my teacher, Catherine Inglesi, at Effortless Mantra. This is really when I realized how loud the external noise is. I knew I was born to meditate in this way with mantras, chanting, and gentle movements. This form of meditation opened my subtle senses and psychic abilities. I dove headfirst, consuming as much knowledge from the Vedas as possible. As a householder, I became a master rishi and continued my studies to master the cities. Thank you, my dear friend and teacher, Catherine. I saw her just the other day, and I cried when she said, "You inspire me." As a rishi in training, while being a householder living in a city, I craved the relaxation that came with a slower pace of life. So when I heard the call of my higher self to invest $3,000 into my first yoga teacher training, I listened. So over the following 5 years, I mostly kept to myself, teaching private yoga and exploring the world in smaller gatherings. Living in the city I grew up in was all I ever knew at the time. It was my comfort zone. I relate to it like my childhood with an abusive, alcoholic father. Even though visits with him could be unpleasant, my siblings and I were forced to spend time with him based on custody rights. So even though as an adult I was functional amongst the loud and fast pace of life, it wasn't my preference. But I didn't know how to get out. The fear of the unknown kept me complacent. In 2018, I discovered Dr. John Veltheim's Body Talk system. He created a roadmap to holistic healing using energetic and consciousness-based concepts that I could understand. Here again, I craved more knowledge to access confidence, using his system to heal my own emotional pain that lingered from the chronic grief I often felt from so much consistent change and loss. I practiced balancing my own brain every day using the Cortezes technique. In 2019, I certified as a body talk practitioner to start working on others using my newly mastered structured intuition. I learned how to integrate my innate wisdom in order to translate messages from the body-mind of myself and others. I learned how to remote view and work on others from a distance. Thank you to Dr. John Veltheim for creating such an easy-to-navigate GPS for healing. It's been an honor to facilitate your teachings. When the 2020 pandemic happened, I was actually grateful because it forced us all to slow the fuck down. When everything in the external world shut down, I could hear my innate wisdom more clearly, She became the loudest sound around me. As a Rishi meditator and my Body Talk Healing Roadmap embodied deep within my consciousness, I felt safe to explore out of my comfort zone even further. These spiritual tools and techniques are my guides for processing, integrating, and embodying my life experiences as they arrive. Most are pleasant, but every once in a while an unpleasant experience shows up as a threat, pain, conflict, or emotional triggers. I group these experiences under the umbrella of obstacles. So, because I practice using my tools when things are pleasant, they become more easily accessible when things are unpleasant. In that moment, I put on my researcher hat and focus on the investigation of finding a solution to the problem. I open my innate wisdom spiritual toolbox and intuitively pick out the best power tool for each unique situation. If one tool didn't get the job done, I go in for another and repeat until the job is done so that I may feel safe to play in the present again. To explain this framework on a scientific level, my brain feels safe to live in the present moment with my big heart open to embrace all the changes that continue to come my way with love and gratitude. Change is constant, moment to moment, breath to breath. So when an obstacle arises, my central nervous system kicks on when my amygdala sounds the alert, alert, alarm, alarm. This is my sympathetic survival mode, also known as fight, flight, freeze, fawn. At that moment, my parasympathetic safe mode, also known as rest, digest, heal, and repair, switches off. I observe my biological systems shutting down operations until the fire is out. All hands on deck for my muscles and blood to either run or fight. Using my innate wisdom toolbox, I've entrained my brain to pause here, to access the situation from an observer perspective. This is my God consciousness, my ability to see between the lines of my physical body's reaction to my mental and emotional response to the threat. When I pause and observe, I access the ability to make confident decisions quickly. Sometimes I need to remove myself from a toxic conversation. Other times, I need to literally put out a fire with a bucket of water. This next concept is important, so I encourage you to really pay attention. More often than not, I realized the threat was actually just a perceived threat based off of memories of pain from my past. I'm going to say that again. More often than not, I realized the threat was actually just a perceived threat based off memories of pain from my past. This is an introduction to Whole Brain Living by Jill Bolte Taylor, and this is my brain's character too. I call her Protective Penny. She is my left hemisphere emotional tissue, a part of me that feels separate from you, also known as my ego. More on this later. So now that I've explained both the spiritual and scientific explanations on how I handle crisis, I would like to continue my hero's journey story. My hero's journey continued when the instructions, "The mountains are calling and I must go." So again, I opened my innate wisdom toolbox and manifested moving to the quiet mountains of Big Bear Lake, California in 2021, which I highly recommend, especially if you live in Los Angeles. It's only a 2-hour drive without traffic. Living in the peace and quiet of the trees immediately felt like home. And not the home as in a house. A home as in a familiar place within myself. More like as if I had been here before in other lifetimes, which now I know is my God consciousness. Big Bear Lake, California has been on my very first dream board I ever created. It is my happy place where I learned to snowboard as an adolescent. I have access to wakeboard on the lake or rock climb in Holcomb Valley as well. The icing on the cake was that it was only a 2-hour drive to visit my mom and sister. While I was thriving as a body talk practitioner and teaching yoga, I became an integral part of my mountain community. Within the first few weeks of moving, I made new friends that were visiting who showed me that living in a school bus was possible. That moment, I planted a seed within my heart consciousness that I would live in a magic school bus and heal the world. In June of 2022, a trip to visit a friend on the Oregon coast accelerated my bus life manifestation. I had a memory, which is a memory of the future. I saw the vision of Logan and I parked next to the stream by the Hasita Head Lighthouse near Yachats, Oregon. Immediately, I knew I lived in Oregon. It wasn't a question of how, it was a curiosity of when. Right then, I started telling everyone I knew, I live in Oregon now. A month later, when I was back home to Big Bear, I started investigating the infinite potential of possibilities. It was July 4th, 2022. I researched all my favorite things to have on a converted school bus. My checklist consisted of adventure ready, which means that it's already built out and ready for me to drive off on the next adventure. A diesel engine, newer than the year 2000, around 100,000 miles, a compost toilet, a shower, wood-burning stove, off-grid solar, a roof deck, space for storage, clean and modern, and enough floor space to teach yoga remotely. Once I was clear on my preferences, I surrendered to the possibilities of there being an even better. I set my intention and continued my search for the bus that was meant for me. As it would happen, I found Eric and Sarah at Bonafide Outside on Facebook Marketplace, selling their converted school bus in Dana Point, California, only hours from Big Bear. I remember seeing pictures of what would become my sweet gratitude bus, and I felt immense love for everything, every opportunity, every obstacle, every joy, every pain. There was no judgments. There are no judgments. Just 4 weeks after returning from my Oregon trip and signed the title of my newly owned Ford E450 school bus. When I sat in meditation asking her name, all I could feel was immense gratitude. And so be it. Now I live in gratitude, the magic school bus healing the world. Now it's November 2024. I've been thriving for 2 years, living nomadically. I love being an expansive outlier in a world of contracted density. As a minimalist, I learned that I can thrive simply and sustainably. I understand the impermanence of life, how everything is always changing, and I get to choose to either adapt or suffer. I can respond to loss more easily because I experience it so often. I see myself like a seaweed in the ocean of consciousness, grounded and gently moving with the flow of change. I understand that everything is a frequency. My voice, my thoughts, my emotions, my posture, my health, my attitudes and behaviors, and my choices. And also, how I get to show up in the world is a frequency, a vibration. Now, I know and accept that loss is a part of life. Like yin yang, up down, right left, cold hot, microcosm, macrocosm, masculine, feminine. In order to appreciate one, you must experience the other. Like cells and the universe, I no longer fear death because now I understand it is simply a transition back into God consciousness. The human experience is duality. Death is a rebirth back into oneness. Stay tuned next week for episode 7, where I describe how I channel my grief and sadness after the death of my stepfather. Thank you for tuning into the Quantum Spirituality Podcast. If this episode inspired you or brought value to your own healing journey, I invite you to join our Self Heal with Liz Patreon community, a sacred space where we go deeper together through guided practices, insights, and coherence body talk activations. Your support not only helps sustain this podcast, it nourishes the vibration we are all co-creating. You can find the link in the show notes. And until next time, all of this, or something even better that we cannot yet even comprehend, and so it is. Aho!